Hello, everybody. Today is Fruitful Friday. I am inspirational author, life speaker, and a surrender rope of hope, Angelina Squire. So today, let's talk about godly wisdom and worldly wisdom. If someone was to ask you this question on today, how can you identify godly wisdom? What does that look like? Your answer can be or should be that godly wisdom is identifiable by an extremely important attitude, and that attitude is called meekness, right? It's called meekness and not arrogance, right? When we look at the book of James, chapter 3, verses 13 through 16, he gives us a clear warning, letting us know that, there is also not only a godly wisdom, but there is indeed another type of wisdom. This wisdom is always in opposition, right? It's in resistance to godly wisdom. And that's demonic wisdom that we're talking about. So again, godly wisdom is identified by meekness, right? And this worldly wisdom is always in opposition with godly wisdom. It's always resistant to it. So what can we also look for when someone is living in or they're working within demonic wisdom? Demonic wisdom envies, right? It covets, and it's cunningly, right? It's always, looking for ways to deceitfully attempt to always elevate oneself to a place of prominence, right? And a very good example of this demonic wisdom of someone always, cunningly, in a conniving way, elevating themselves higher than they really are, higher than they should be, or higher, above someone else. Satan gave us a great example of this. When you look in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 28, verses 1 through 17, this will clearly let you know that pride always comes before the fall. Pride always comes before the fall. Look at what happened in Ezekiel 28, verses 1 through 17. And it's lengthy, so we'll kind of jump over it a little bit, but you can go back and read it. We'll read enough so that you can get a point to see just how Satan painted this clear picture, of how someone, can connivingly and demonically elevate themselves, right? Above God is what we're talking about today. Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 1. In your great pride, that's a key word, pride, you claim I am a God. So here, he's claiming to be God, right? And we know there's only one God. So on a divine throne in the heart of the sea, but it says, you are only a man, not a God, though you boast that you are like a God. You regard yourself as wiser than Daniel and think no secret is hidden from you. With your wisdom and understanding, you have amassed great wealth, gold and silver for your treasure. Yes, your wisdom has made you very rich, and your riches have made you very proud. Proud and pride, right? That's how arrogance is, can sneak in. And then go down to verse 6. Because you think you are wise as a god, I will bring against you an enemy army, the terror of the nation. So here we already see that anytime you're operating in pride, already we know that's a demonic thing, because it's not connected with the things of God. It's not connected to godly wisdom. Here again, Satan, he's not only thinking but voicing, that he is a God when there's only one God. Go down to verse 12. You were the perfection of wisdom and beauty. Listen to that. Satan was the perfection of wisdom and beauty. He was in Eden, right? The garden of God. His clothing was adorned with very precious stones. So he was beautiful. Go down to 14 and it says, I ordained and anointed you as the mighty angelic guardian. He already had, a wonderful place, a wonderful, if I can say, position in God. But pride won't let you see what you have already been given, because now you want to be more than the person that actually created you, blessed you. He said, you had access to the holy mountain of God and walked among the stones of fire. Let's go back up to James chapter 3 verses 14 for a minute. James chapter 3 verses 14. But if you are bitterly jealous and there is selfish ambition in your hearts, don't brag about being wise. Don't brag about being wise. That is the worst kind of lie, for jealousy and selfishness are not of God's kind of wisdom. So when you look at James chapter 3 verses 14, here you will get, two sinful attitudes. And those sinful attitudes, bitterness, right, is one of them. Envy is the next one, right? Because jealousy, it causes envy, right? It's all entangled together. And when it says in verse 14, selfish ambition, this is a self-seeking person. Again, this all describes someone that's operating out of demonic wisdom. It says self-seeking. Again, that's demonic wisdom, right? What are the dangers of carrying around bitterness or carrying around jealous or envious of someone else? All of this is dangerous because these attitudes originate, right? They arise within one's heart. Now, this person has a contaminated heart. Out of a contaminated heart flows demonic wisdom. It's not godly wisdom. 4 things that's happening when we boast as a result of envy and self-seeking. This person will be, arrogant, right? Meekness will not show in this person's attitude. This person, will always display a sense of overbearing self-worth, right? They will always be self-evaluating, right? Self-elevating, self-elevating. And when a person is always self-elevating, what they're doing, they're elevating themselves when they should be elevating who? God, right? The creator of all things. Because without him, we can't do anything, right? So he is the one who we should be elevating. It's okay to get excited, when we accomplish things, but we're talking about when pride gets in, jealous get in, envy, get in, and we become our God, or things and stuff becomes our God, right? This person will always have demonic actions, lying against the truth. So everything that they're saying, they can be, professing that they're operating, in godly wisdom. They can say, that they love God, live their life for God, but they're only displaying it by their words, but their actions are completely different. Their actions are all worldly, sinful, right? Let's take a look at James 3, verse 15. For jealousy and selfishness are not God kinds of wisdom, right? Again, such things are earthly, unspiritual, and motivated by the devil. This is, again, what it's saying is that this wisdom is not heavenly, right? It's saying that it does not descend from above, right? And not only that, but James says that it's earthly, it's sensual, right? And demonic. So when it's referring to earthly, we know anything that's referring to the earthly, it's talking about the world, right? It's talking about flesh, right? But what about sensual? What about that? Sensual is also talking about our flesh. That's pertaining to the flesh also. And demonic, that's dealing with Satan, the devil. So when we read in James, he gave us those 3 types of worldly wisdom. Those worldly wisdom, again, is earthly, sensual, and demonic. Those are 3 things we need to always remember when we are paying attention to ourselves, to be mindful of which wisdom we're choosing to live in every day. So again, we're talking about godly wisdom and demonic wisdom. Godly wisdom, again, will always displace meekness. Worldly wisdom is pertaining to, the things of the world. It's always in opposition, right? Opposition against the things of God. It's in opposition against godly wisdom. It's always deceitful. So it's always going to find, some little sneaking, conniving ways to attempt to elevate themselves. They always will have a hidden agenda. And pride is always involved when you're talking about demonic wisdom. Life point, and this is very important. Godly wisdom and demonic wisdom affects a person's attitude. It affects this person's heart condition. That's something that we really need to pay attention to. Godly wisdom or demonic wisdom, they both will affect the condition of your heart. So wisdom from above has a heart that's pure, right? It's uncontaminated with the philosophy, and the lies and the mood swings of the world. This heart is always centered on the ways of the Lord. So if this wisdom is from above again, this heart is pure. It's uncontaminated with the things of the world. It's not toxic because of the things of the world. Because this heart is also centered on not only the ways of the Lord, but this heart is also centered on the mindset of the Lord. This heart is indeed spiritually in tune with the Spirit of God. So this is another way that you can know if you're actually living in godly wisdom. Check your heart's condition. Is it pure? Do you have a lot of junk in it from the world? Are you carrying around jealousy, envy? Are you deceitful? Are you prideful, so prideful that you're looking down upon everyone else? Have you forgotten about that person that gave you a startup within your business, your 501c3, whatever project that you have? Have you forgotten about that person? Now that you have, you're receiving a little attention, you have now placed yourself above them in a deceitful way that you're now overlooking them. You now feel that you're even wiser, than them in a negative way. Now, on the other hand, the demonic wisdom that we're talking about today, this wisdom is always from below, right? And this results in a contaminated heart. It's contaminated by the diseases in this world's system. This heart is always self-seeking. It doesn't care about anybody else. It's always self-seeking, right? Full of envy, and it's influenced and controlled by the powers from below. Demonic wisdom. The danger of this heart is that self, again, is always at the center of everything and not God. Let's say this again. The danger of demonic wisdom, the dangers of this contaminated heart. Their self is always at the center of everything but not God. This heart does not and cannot hear the Spirit of God. That's important. So if we're not hearing the Spirit of God, right? If we're not hearing from the Holy Spirit, then we have to ask ourselves, well, who am I listening to? Whose voice are you listening to? As I leave you on today, I pray that you not only understand that there are two wisdoms in this world, but also only you, nobody else, but only you are the only ones who can choose which one you will follow. So that's the purpose of this video today, to get those who may not know that, yes, there is godly wisdom, but there is also demonic wisdom. When one is operating according to their own ways and they think that it's right. So only you can choose which one you will follow. Godly wisdom, again, is pure, peace-loving, submissive. We need to say that again. Submissive, full of mercy, good fruit, and considerate. Considerate of others. It's not self-seeking. They're not doing things just for them. They're not looking at, well, if God bless me, I'm going to blow up and I'm going to buy me this and get me that. You know, me. No. They have a mindset and heart that when God bless them, they're already, thinking and have a plan together of how they're going to bless someone else. This is someone with an uncontaminated heart. But the demonic wisdom, the one that's operating with a contaminated heart, they think they got it going on. They're self-seeking, elevate themselves above everyone else. They forget about everyone else. They don't care about who helped them along the way. They can't hear God. They can't hear the voice of God. They're not in tune to the Holy Spirit. In their eyes, they, feel they deserve to be arrogant. They think that they deserve to be prideful. Have you become like Satan? He was adorned with precious stones. He was beautiful. And he let all of that got to him. And this is how pride creeps in. So now he feels, I'm all that. I am God. Have you became like that today? Demonic wisdom. You forgot about who helped you get to where you are. It's all about you. God is not, he's not at the center of your heart, or no longer at the center of your heart. You're sitting on your own throne, right? Demonic wisdom is always unspiritually wisdom, right? Because it's not of God. It's not from above. It's from below. And it can only lead us to one place. And where is that? Where is that place? Demonic wisdom can only lead us to one place, and that's straight to hell. Straight to hell, right? With rollerblades on, with fire behind it. So this video is not just, for believers, but it's for everyone. Because sometimes we're doing things and we think that, we're doing right. Sometimes we think we deserve certain things. Yes, God, He wants us to have good things. He wants to bless us, but everything has a certain way. There are biblical principles that we must live by. So again, if God is not at the center of everything, then that very foundation that you're standing on, it's like standing on quicksand, right? Because He is only the truly firm foundation. So anything that you have built by yourselves, by yourselves, and you didn't include Him, it will fail. It will fail because flesh, humans, people, we can only do so much and we can only go so far. So if you had to rely on your flesh to get you to where you are, guess what? You're going to have to continue to rely on your flesh to keep you there, right? So will you be led by truth, or will you be led by deception? Godly wisdom, truth. Demonic wisdom, deception. Because the very kind of life that you and I live will indeed reveal the kind of wisdom that we possess. So if you have been operating in demonic wisdom, it's not too late to get it right. Don't allow the enemy to go on and keep deceiving you, thinking that it's all about you and that you just got it going on. You're not at the center. You may have all these accolades, but without Christ, again, all of that means nothing. Don't be like Satan and think that you're so beautiful. You have so much stuff. that now iniquity creeps up within you, and then your heart will be lifted up just like Satan, because you think that it's all about you and what you have, and you have forgotten who put you, who positioned you where you are. So I love you guys. It's always an amazing time on Fruitful Fridays. You know, please just don't sit there and watch the video. You know, go back, take notes if you have to. And again, go back and read James chapter 3. Because, I mean, there are a lot of things in there that I didn't cover. But it all relates, you know, to this video, so that you can examine yourself and know if you are in godly wisdom or demonic wisdom. So James chapter 3, and you can start from verses 14 and read it all the way through to verse 18. And also go back to Ezekiel chapter 28 verses 1 through 17. This is where you get the whole, you know, totality of Satan, how pride creeped up in him. You know, you can get to see his place where he was before pride hit him. And you also get to read what happened afterwards. And we all know, again, as I said before, pride comes before a great fall, right? So will you today decide which one are you going to choose? Godly wisdom or demonic wisdom? Thank you all so very much. I will see you all next week on another Fruitful Friday. Be blessed.